I'm Adam Walker, a biometrics consultant, and this is the Pharma Prescribed Podcast, where leaders, innovators, and hidden voices in healthcare open up. No sound bites, no spin, just raw insight, one prescription at a time. In an industry driven by data, protocols, and pressure, we rarely pause to ask the human question: what drives us, what breaks us, and what truths live behind the titles we wear? Today, I'm joined by Sam Usher. His career began by accident, a place at the National Youth Theatre sparking a fascination with performance that quickly evolved into choreography, the power of expression through the body, communicating emotion without words. He trained at Ballet Rambert and at the Northern School of Contemporary Dance in Leeds, before moving to Brussels to perform, while simultaneously creating his own work through his company Feed. After 12 years in dance, a planned move to Montreal took an unexpected detour to Devon for the summer, where he picked up a camera and never put it down. Film replaced the stage, leading to his first TV commission, a ski series focused not on the spectacle, but on the individuals and preparation behind elite performance. That project took him to Chamonix and marked the start of a new direction. From mountain couloir to open water, sailing introduced him to live sport, the closest thing to stage adrenaline. He built a successful production company that ran for 15 years before the disruption of lockdown forced another reinvention. Chapter 3 is rooted in Wellbeing, Steamworks, a community-led sauna experience designed around connection, ritual, and reset, where Sam and I first met on the beach in South Devon, Bigbury-on-Sea. Sam, welcome to Pharma Prescribed. For anyone who's not familiar with you, who are you and what is the mission you're on?
Well, that's quite a technical and intense first question, Adam. I thought it was going to be a slow start in. But okay, the mission of Steamworks is a mission to move away from the world of television, which has changed dramatically over the past 20 years that I've been working in it, and moving to a position where I have a business that leaves people feeling happy, rejuvenated. Importantly, I actually also feel well and happy and rejuvenated when people leave the sauna, leave the experience of that small little horsebox on a beautiful beach, and tell me their stories. So in a way, there's akin to the TV world of my world was that I was telling stories and people's stories. It was all around people's stories. That's what I made my name on. From the sailing world to the skiing world was about black blobs at sea, black blobs on the mountain, and how do you tell the story behind those people? Now I'm doing it in real life rather than vicariously. I'm actually doing it in real life. And so that's the beauty of the Steamworks mission, is to grow a business which is around the beauty of heat, the beauty of cold, and the understanding of well-being.
That's a wonderful way to open the conversation, and I really appreciate you explaining that, Sam. What is it about hot and cold that really gets people going? Because I've experienced it myself, not just in your sauna, but in many saunas in and around where I live. What's the magic behind it?
It feels still like a bit of a mystery, right? I know there's lots of science behind it, and there's lots of science from the Finnish and from the Norwegians and the Scandinavians who use this as part of everyday ritual. One of the stories that I heard around this, and I started the sauna because I love sauna and I love cold water swimming. So I liked the combination. Met a friend who had a sauna. He started a successful business, created a business through saunas on beaches. And I copied. There was nothing revolutionary about the idea. I just copied. But what has happened has been the transfer of knowledge of researching what sauna does. So your question, what is the magic of heat? One of the doctors told me, who comes in regularly, that all of Western illness is caused by one common problem, which is inflammation. Whether that's true or not, I just use that as an anecdote because that's what I've been told by a doctor. I'm not a doctor in any way. I have no medical background, unlike you. So heat seems to be the big anti-inflammatory, that it dilates. So that's what appears to be the kind of key mystery and magic in it. is that it helps to reduce inflammation. And over prolonged periods of time, that everyone says you should do a consistent 2 to 3 times a week. And if you do 2 to 3 times a week, that inflammation will really start to drop quite dramatically. So that's what the magic of it is in one respect. I believe it also triggers heat receptors, heat proteins, which they've proven to be responsible for refolding and recreating cellular damage. And that cellular damage is created in the brain and throughout the body, and it helps to repair that. Coupled then with the cold water receptors, which does the same thing, but with a different effect. So it seems to be that this cold shock and heat therapy seems to be incredibly magical, even though I don't think there's much magic in it. It's just heat, but it's very intense heat.
Yeah, the experience that I've had has been very similar to that with regards to the vasoconstriction, the vasodilation, and the extremes of those touch points. And I've also read anecdotally that it's akin to doing exercise for the body, because effectively the same processes are stimulated. We sweat, our heart rate is elevated, everything dilates and gets larger. And then you go into the sea or a cold tub and everything just shuts down again. What I've experienced is really quite remarkable. And I know it isn't always the same for everyone, but there is this thing called the vagal reflex. So we have a main vein that runs through our neck called the vagal nerve. And I've been told through my experiences with acupuncture that I'm a very strong reactor. And I find the same thing happens with me in the sauna. And that is all related to this vagal nerve reflex. I just want to do more of that because it feels great. Come the end of the hour that I've been in and out of the sauna, let's say 4 or 5 times and into the sea or cold water, at the end of it, I'm out of body. It feels elevating and certainly opens an aspect of my capabilities that I don't otherwise have in my normal life.
You can see the transformation with people from when they first come around the back of the little horse box and a little bit tight and tense about getting change around the back there. And I leave it particularly simple and raw deliberately for that process, because there creates this little sense of unease about, well, have I got to get undressed here? I've got to put my clothes in a bucket. It's cold already. Well, in the winter, it's been cold. And actually, after they go in through the sauna, and there's always the first 10 minutes, there's a little bit of unease. There's a little bit of confusion as the heat rises. This thing about, does it act like mild exercise or not? I don't know. I have tried to measure it on my watch a few times, and my heart doesn't really rise very much anymore. I should have done it at the beginning. But there is a point, as you say, after you've gone out and then come in again, and suddenly once you've gone out into the cold and you go, I'm not cold anymore, the comfort level fits in. There's a confidence about this is okay. And then gradually you see the face changing color, you see the face changing shape and relaxing. People sitting back, you see the awkward chat or the conversation start to be more fluid. I walk in and go, there you go, you've got the sauna high. That's, of course, cortisol's dropped, serotonin and dopamine are rising. That's the key.
You've nailed it. You've absolutely nailed it. I'm fascinated by that experience that you've seen, because there is this desensitization around people, isn't there? It's a small enclosed space. Often you're with strangers, and yet within an hour, you feel like you know those people. They share their lives with you. They share their stories. And actually, you're sat there with very little clothes on in front of strangers, and you don't care.
No. And interestingly, of course, us in Britain are clothed, whereas the rest of the world are properly naked. I know it'd be a bit more tricky on a beach, of course, because there's going to be other people around, whereas in a sauna building, you're enclosed and safe. Sarah and I sauna, and we've made friends for life from it, as I'm sure maybe you have, particularly the Devon lot. I remember that first time you were in with Marie. You're in contact still and see each other all the time, right? It's great.
This is the reason why you and I are having this conversation, because for B and I, Bigbury-on-Sea is a very special place. We've been going there for many years. And for anyone listening to this podcast, it's opposite a causeway and an island, a bit like St. Michael's Mount or Mont Saint-Michel in France. And the tide goes in and out twice a day. It's a magical place where you can just lose yourself in the beauty of nature. And then your sauna turned up, Sam. And we were like, Wow. This has gone up another notch. And so since we've been going, obviously, to Bigbury-on-Sea, we've been back to your sauna several times and have connected over that. And ultimately, I think it just provides another ability to unlock something within us that we don't have any clue about how it works, how it really does untap potential and well-being in us. And I'd love to talk about that because you've had a very interesting career, Sam. I'm fascinated how this came about for you, but also the benefits that you've seen and where you've seen them, because you traveled all over the world with your work, with your TV work and with your dance. And how does that sit alongside some of your more recent experiences?
I think the dance was the key to travel to begin with. That was an amazing experience. Traveling generally first class and performing opera houses was amazing. The circles keep completing. That's what's interesting. I never expected those circles to complete. So the first one was the dance. That was a serendipitous moment of getting into National Youth Theatre because my friend got in and was interested in going. He said, why don't you come and audition? So we both went and we both got in, which was great, and started to do the theatre thing. Then from there, I realized actually I wasn't a very good actor, but loved the creativity, loved this idea that I step away from my parents' business of engineering and very straight, very confined world. In fact, my dad's incredibly creative, but was a traditional working man and created a good business. But I was very opposite to that and wanted to be opposite to that. So the dance thing was amazing because it allowed me to be fully in the body, and the choreography and that expression of words, the expression of emotion without words was something that I thought was amazing. And you look at all the beautiful ballets and the beautiful works that have been created and some of the political works that have been created by the Christopher Bruces and the Richard Alstons and those amazing choreographers, even some of the earlier ones, just beautiful. I was so inspired by that. So the Belgium thing was amazing. The culture of dance and art in Brussels when I was there was truly phenomenal because there was this feeling that from the external world, Belgium, Brussels was the most boring city in the world. Actually, it's not. It has an incredible influx of stagiaires every year, apprenticeships, trainees who come to work in the European Commission from all over the world. Then to counteract that political position, there's an artistic position, and it's funded by both the Flemish and the French government. We were all on the unemployment system, so working at a very high level company, we were all funded on the unemployment system. You're given the status of an artist, and that allowed us to remain in Belgium to create work. So when we stopped touring, then there'd be a couple of months or 3 months off, and then we were always invited into any other studio to create work. So there was this kind of proliferation of people from all over the world who'd come together, and I ran my little company Feed. I would go to have an audition and I'd get 70 people turn up for this audition. And they were all able to work for me for free because we were already on the unemployment system with the status of an artist. And we were allowed to explore work. And we had painters and plastic artists and musicians and set designers and lighting designers and choreographers and dancers and actors. And we could blend this incredible world into this performance world. So that was amazing. And then you'd interact with the stagiaires in the political system, and it was a very vibrant place to work. So that was super cool. And look, it ended. It got to a point when all my friends left. I played in a band. The band left. We all broke up, and I decided to move off to somewhere else. So bridging quickly to the TV thing, forgetting the skiing bit. After the skiing thing, I was asked to work in the sailing world and got introduced to the head of the America's Cup TV, this guy who was directing the America's Cup. And he got me into his live gallery. And I suddenly connected that being on stage and being in TV could be the same thing. I could connect to live. So we're going live in 3, 2, 1, live. And so all about the preparation, all about the storytelling in advance, and suddenly you're live. So that circular career, that link was pretty easy to understand for anybody, I think. Then leaping ahead, again, forgetting the company I created, the link back to this wellness thing now, it all started partly because I love sauna, but also because I wanted something healthy again and to be in control of what I'm doing rather than now being a freelancer in a world which is getting worse. and to be in the body again. We're lucky enough to have a gym here. And every morning I go into the gym for half an hour, 20 minutes, half an hour, and I do a routine, which is still in a way ballet based. It's about waking up the fascia. It's about training emotionally as well as physically. And I do this routine every day, which is about balance and being off balance. And that links directly to the health and well-being of being back in the sauna. So I go from here to the sauna to work and to help. And I'm no expert, but hopefully bring, as you said, a little bit of an additional experience to one of the most beautiful beaches in South Devon. And it is iconic. And it has been said that people who stay in the Burr Island Hotel, it's 100% experience until they come to the sauna, and then it goes up to a 200% experience. So it's fascinating to see that, but it's a hard sell, right? A lot of people are very skeptical about it. We're making it sound like it's easy. It's not an easy sell, this. It's not an easy build, this business. I've been surprised by how long it is taking and has taken for me to get to the point. I still haven't earned any money out of it as yet. It needs to get to that point when it can earn money.
Yeah. And I think ultimately every business needs to turn a profit. And I'm confident that you will at the right point. I think the challenge that you experience, and you will know this better than I, is the passing trade and the seasonality of that in and around particularly parts of South Devon, which can for months be very quiet and you rely on locals. Where I live in Sussex, we've got 3 or 4 local saunas under the same umbrella that have a lot of passing trade. We're right by the sea, and people have built it into their normal everyday lifestyle, including myself. So I think there is that challenge to overcome. But nevertheless, the more we talk about the opportunity for personal growth and unlocking that something within, I think the more likely it is to happen. And before we hit record, we mentioned about in Finland. The fact is, in a country like Finland, where sauna pretty much is the norm, there's over 3 million saunas for just over 5 million people. That's incredible. I'm not saying that we're quite there with the UK yet, and it's a long way coming. But nevertheless, there are particular times of the year when it definitely lends itself more than perhaps in the summer months, when you have less of that contrast between the hot and the cold.
I mean, interestingly, about 3 months ago, I started to send out feedback forms to people to try and build a community. So build a WhatsApp group that you're part of, and also to find out what people's experiences was of the sauna and how they found out about us. So originally, it was something like about 70% found us through an online Google search. Now, I'm just looking at the stats here. There is 31.9% found us through Google. 27.7% find us through word of mouth. And 25.5% found us through walking past. Now, there's a few other bits, others and Instagram-y things. But effectively, that shift has happened now to being about word of mouth. I think that's key in terms of telling the story of this sauna and how we make it work. As you say, there's lots of choices around here now. There are more and more choices, more and more saunas, and more people beginning to believe in it, but still we haven't quite reached saturation yet, I don't think.
That's really interesting to hear. And I happen to know when we spoke, you were talking about expanding the opportunity. Now, this first sauna that you built with your own hands out of a horsebox, scalability is the challenge, is it not? And maybe spreading the reach a little bit further around and outside of Bigbury-on-Sea and beyond South Devon.
That's the aim. The aim is to build a second one, but my view is I have to get a second spot secured, second beach secured first. I'm actually waiting for emails from South Hams District Council. We're in a long discussion around putting another one in Salcombe or being able to operate from Salcombe, South Sands. And I think to begin with, what I'll do is I will just be using the same sauna and go back and forth between. The only thing I have to do is probably buy a tractor to get on the beach at South Sands and off the beach, more importantly, because the tide comes in even more quickly and the beach is much smaller than Bigbury and the causeway. So it can be pretty treacherous. So yeah.
That sounds like a fairly heavy investment. So you're going to need to get quite a lot of footfall. And a place like Salcombe is definitely going to be where those with a little bit more of the dollar are going to be happy to spend. And maybe you can push the prices up a little bit more, faster turnover. I don't know. Have you given some thought to that?
I have thought about it. No, a tractor's not expensive. It'll be a small tractor. It's a 35 horsepower tractor. They're very small. It's big enough to get it off the beach. And interestingly, the pricing is tricky with, particularly in mine. So the permanent ones that we have around here, the ones up at Mothercombe at Dartington, the other one up at the top of the lane at Bantham, are able to operate because they're permanent and not tidal, not on a tidal beach. They're able to operate for sort of 9 to 10 hours a day. Whereas I only have a limited range really because I can't have people, I don't believe, in the sea when it's dark. And also I have tides to consider. So getting the sauna on and off every day is very much about the tides. So I have to be quite careful. So I have less time with less people. So it's harder to make money. I've thought about, should I put the prices up? But actually I've got to be comparable to the others. So if they're 15 and I'm 20, what are people going to do? It's 25% more expensive, or actually 33% more expensive. So therefore they're going to go to the other one probably. It's harder to get people in. Yeah, it's a tricky little business.
And how are you balancing that with all your other activities? Because I'm aware that you're still filming and you're traveling with your work. At what point will this become the major center of your attention?
I don't know. I really don't know. I'm hoping sooner rather than later. But you've just seen that we've just offered a set of new memberships on the website. I don't know what your view is on those. It'd be interesting to hear your views on whether they're good or they're bad. I'm open to feedback on all of the things that we do because I want to build a community that wants to come to this one because it's not located in a field and you get into a tub of other people's business, but you can go and use the beautiful ocean as your cold receptor basin to chill the body and to use that as the wilds are more attractive to me than a cold old whiskey barrel that's now full of fluid.
Well, that's my preference, definitely, is to be in the sea, to have the experience of the wild. And if it weren't 5+ hours away from my home, I'd be using it a lot more regularly, evidently. At the moment, we travel to South Devon maybe 3 or 4 times a year. Ultimately, it may be a lot more than that. And who knows what the future is for us. But I think more importantly, that local community and building it up will come with time for you and the people of South Devon. You are a great human being to connect with as well, Sam. And I think that is also at the nub of the essence behind Steamworks is really you, your personality, your enthusiasm and your energy, which is so clear to anyone who meets you and comes into contact with you. You have something. I don't know what it is, but you have it. If you can bottle that and put it into your son and other people around whom are supporting you, I think that is really going to be the secret sauce, perhaps. But it's all about scalability ultimately, isn't it? And it's about making it a profitable business.
Yeah, it has to. It has to be. And I think it can be. I'm surprised how long it's taken. I wanted to be in a different position now than I am in terms of the amount of money that we've received, the amount of money we've spent. I've just been doing the accounts. They're not bad, but it could be better. Of course, I haven't taken any money out yet. So it'd be a lot worse if I took some money out. But that is the opportunity now. I think we've built something, Sarah and I, that has a consistency, has a base. We've proven that we can do it. And we now will start looking for some investment money to go out and grow the opportunity, both in Salcombe and potentially in Plymouth, which is the next one that we're discussing. I've just been writing a document about what that looks like as a share value, as the kind of value in the business, pre and post money valuation. So actually looking at it as a proper business now. Can I find someone who's prepared to put in 30 grand, but actually commit to being part of the business like I am, who wants to grow the business and wants to be part of something that could be? The economics aren't difficult. Right now, if I'm open every day and full, it's £600 to £800 a day. Those metrics aren't difficult, right? If you can get 3 of those, 4 of those a week and you're full for 4 days a week, and you can be doing somewhere between 3 and 4 grand a weekend, you can be doing 8 to 12 grand a month, then that soon becomes 120,000 to 150,000 pounds a year out of a relatively small setup cost. So it's the potential's definitely there. And I suppose you put a bigger one in, then you can be doing more like 1,000 to 1,200 a day or 1,500 a day. And you do that for 5-6 days a week. Suddenly it's a proper business, right? It becomes a nearly £500,000 to £1 million business, which is the opportunity in it. But it just takes time and effort to grow that. So that's the biggest challenge now, is to find the way that I can do that. Take investment, get investors, get people to help with that. And one of those things for me is also around social prescribing, is to make it something that it's not just a profitability, but it's also about the value that is brought in it. I remember when I bought and sold businesses before through the TV thing, one of my investors was very like, it's all around profit. And I'm going, the profitability of a business isn't just about the cash. It's about the people and the success within that legacy you're leaving. And I believe that if we create the right experience in my little horsebox, as Andrew, who helped me build it, refers to it, in a little horsebox, then we have a business that is based in truth and honesty and well-being, creating something that's really, truly honest for people.
I guess the question then also comes back to whether people want to invest in themselves, because you talked about social prescribing, and I am aware that there are thoughts in and around healthcare services in supporting people with their mental and physical well-being into these realms. But ultimately, this comes down to people's pockets, doesn't it? How much are they willing to invest in themselves? So if it's once a week, if it's a couple of times a week, let's say it's 2 or 3 times a month, I think that's probably quite realistic for people who have unlocked the opportunity and identified the benefits for themselves. It then becomes about marketing and spreading the reach and spreading the word, as you say. And social media clearly today is probably a very good way of doing that, isn't it?
It seems to be. I still don't like social media. I still don't like how it operates and why we have to use it. I know we do. And Sarah does a beautiful job of creating beautiful images around the sauna. I like it to shift to that word of mouth properly, if possible, that people believe in it because they hear it from somebody else. And that's a better truth than the fakeness of Instagram. And we can make anything look good, right? It does everything look good on Instagram. But it's having that word of mouth, someone like you, someone like B, the Morrises who come down all the time, the Colemans who come in all the time, the regulars who love this little sauna. What you don't know is who someone is when they're in their swimming shorts or their bikini. You don't know who that person is. And I found out subsequently that some people are incredibly CFOs, CEOs of huge organizations, and both men and women have got particularly powerful roles, and writers of magazines have come in, and you just don't know who those people are. It's fascinating to meet people from all walks of life at all times in that sauna. That's what's surprising and beautiful, I think.
We come back to that first point, which is you and I connected around this incredible magic on the South Devon seas, and we will continue to come back. And more importantly, I wanted to give you the opportunity to share your story, but also just the energy with which you've set up this business and to give you that platform. So at this time in the conversation, Sam, I always like to finish with a quick fire round. And I wonder, what is the one piece of advice you would give to your younger self?
Wow, that's an interesting one, isn't it?
You're talking to someone who's working in the clinical and drug delivery system industry.
I never used to regret anything. What I've done is what I've done with my decisions. I now look back and think there's a few decisions I would have made that I think I should have listened to more clearly. So maybe listening more clearly would be one of those. Listening to myself more clearly.
Okay. What are the top 3 qualities you value most in others when building a team?
So I often start with the opposite way of which is ego. I find that when ego starts to really play its trump card, I find that is the behest of a team. So I like to find people who are honest and clear, but don't have that ego. And it's hard to find. It's a really hard thing to find, that non-ego based for me is really key. Humble, humility, those kind of words. I think you learn more and are better as a creative or as an operative if less ego driven.
Definitely. I would absolutely concur with that. What is your favorite thing outside of work? Whatever you call work, by the way.
For me, the water, right? So anything, I'm going to go now, I'm going to go kite surfing after this. So kite surfing, foiling, kite foiling, skiing, the places where you can really lose yourself.
Wonderful. And finally, what is your number one golden rule in life and in business?
That's a tricky one, right? What is my golden rule? My golden rule, I think it's always been about blue sky thinking. If you dream big and act with honesty, with a blue sky vision, the money will follow. So I don't chase money. I chase doing the right thing in the right way. And hopefully at some point the money will follow, because it's been a disastrous financial year for me this year and for Sarah, because we've put everything into this and haven't taken much out. So the other things have all fallen by the wayside a little bit. So that's what I believe. So that's what we lie in bed awake at night going, it's blue sky thinking. It will deliver at some point a proper way for us to make a living out of this.
I love that. And that really does resonate. And it would be remiss of me not to mention that my dear father, God rest his soul, on our garage wall, he had daubed "Think Big" in paint. He always thought big, and he was very big on blue sky thinking. And I would always say that, as I've said to you, I think in person, what you put out in the universe is what comes back to you. I think you're living proof of that. And I do believe that with good intention, things come to you. That's what I believe. That's the principles I live to also. It absolutely resonates with me so loudly.
So when will we see you back again in Devon? When's your next trip back?
I know when our next booking is. Our next booking is at the end of April, but I have a sense that we might be back before then. So maybe sometime mid to end of February, I hope. This has been a wonderful conversation, Sam. And I feel like we've only just unlocked a fraction of what's inside. We've talked about your background in television and the fascinating experiences that you had in and around ballet, dance, and performance. And I think for any one of our audience listening today, I hope they've taken away some of the very clear positives around use of sauna, fresh air, nature, the blue sky. And whether or not these are anecdotal stories that we're telling or our truth, I would love to recommend those people to come to your sauna on Bigbury-on-Sea, Steamworks, and enjoy the experiences that we have both had on that lovely beach. What's the best way for anyone of our audience or listeners who want to get in contact with you? What's the best way to make contact with you, Sam?
The website, there's the website, steamworkssaunas.co.uk. On there's my phone number and an email, and anyone can call or phone. And of course, any one of your listeners wants to come, then I should be able to pass a discount code on. I don't quite know how I do that, but Sarah will be able to help me with that. And so they can get a 10% off a sauna. So if they want to come down, then, please come and have a sauna, or you can just donate to the sauna fund.
I think that's perfect, Sam. As I say, it's been an absolute delight to welcome you to Pharma Prescribed today. I look forward to continuing the conversation with you, and I look forward to many more saunas and sharing the experience with you, Sam. Thank you so much.
You and B have been an absolute joy coming in. I love you coming in. So let's be in our trunks again soon and run in and out of that sea in the little op box.
I can't wait. All the very best. Thank you so much.
Take care. Sam. Thank you so much, mate. Thank you.